Anyway, do you know what we could do if it all goes to shit? We could move to a ranch in the country. We
Mhm.
could give up our dreams of being ballerina dancers, which, as you know, that's something you and I have always shared.
I'm such a good ballerina.
I believe it. You've got long legs, you've got long limbs,
I can't do anything.
and you strike me as a graceful lady.
Oh my god. Okay, thank you.
We can have 8 kids and we can make our own butter. What do you think?
Honestly, on the surface, it doesn't sound bad.
Mhm.
I mean, like, well, if it's like you and me getting to go and hang out, you
Yeah.
know what I mean?
And then giving up on
But
day 2 and getting Postmates.
I know, exactly. I know. I was sweating reading this. So the Ballerina Farms article came out in the Times this week, and this was a reporter who went to go meet with this create this like trad wife creator who's like really big on Instagram, but she has some like mainstream success. They mentioned in the article that like Jennifer Garner follows her and like sort of like, oh, okay, like this is a respectable following. But she lives
She's pioneer woman for Gen Z.
yes, like she's sort of like Nara Smith is like the face. She's the old face of this is the classic face of that. She is that.
Mhm, mhm. Although what I do really respect about, Nara Smith is that she has, like, the glazed look of someone who's taking Quaaludes while they vacuum in the '50s, and, like, that's how I want my trad wives to be. Like, I want
Dude,
them
she's a comedy.
glazed.
Her page is a comedy page. Like, once I
Yeah.
realized that it's literally just straight like, dry comedy, I was like, "Yeah, this might be the funniest creator on the app." Like,
She made Coca-Cola from scratch the other day. That was, amazing, honestly. My husband was craving Coca-Cola, so I decided to that very, like, soft,
dude,
delish.
her husband with the fucking toothpick, I guess he was, like, Tumblr famous. He was like that's what I've been some of the commentary I've been reading is that he was, like, the Tumblr hottie model back in the day.
Mhm.
But he walks around in, like, James Dean cosplay with a fucking toothpick hanging out of his mouth, and there's a couple times where I've seen him with the toothpick where I'm like, "Whoa, that's a hazard." Like, you don't need to be doing that, like, while you're holding like, why are you throwing something near your face with a toothpick in your mouth?
Scary, really scary. Should we play the video I found of the reporter who wrote the article talking about the piece? It's only like a minute
Yes,
long.
please.
Yeah.
Okay.
In April, I went to interview Hannah Nealman, otherwise known as Ballerina Farm. There was Hannah, her husband Daniel, who's also the business partner, and their 8 children, along with cows, pigs, chickens, the whole shebang. I thought I was going to be interviewing Hannah. It turned out to be a little harder than that. Daniel is very involved in the brand. In fact, he kind of leads it. Hannah seemed to be the sort of face. Now, I spent the day with them and their 8 children and animals, really out in the sticks of Utah in the middle of nowhere. And I asked her when we were standing on the side of the mountain, is this what you always wanted to do? Is this always where you wanted to be? And she said that actually she wanted to live in New York City, that was her dream, and she had wanted to be a ballerina. The children are rustic and wild and gorgeous, and they're homeschooled there. They don't have a nanny. She is the most gorgeous, generous mother. You know, these children are literally swinging off her hair. Daniel was a little bit more leading, actually. It was sometimes hard to ask her questions, and it was sometimes hard to get a direct answer from her without her being interrupted or her deferring to her husband. Anyway, I tried to ask her all the questions that everyone online has been desperate to ask her for months, and you can read the full interview at thetimes.com.
Yeah.
And it's a pretty good summary of like what leapt off the page really in that piece, which is that throughout this interview, he's clearly the one pulling the strings and kind of leading things of this kind of brand and this image. I think Megan did a very sort of nice job of being fairly sort of neutral and factual in that, but even the uh when mentioning the husband was like British
Well,
for yeesh.
oh, yeah, I mean, it said it was the vibe. We knew what she meant by that. Pause.
Yeah.
Yeah, it this is very scary, I think. I thought I was reading this article and I just was I felt, like, very scared and very sad for her.
Mhm.
I mean, this woman, like, let's say all the dreams aside or whatever, and we should definitely talk about that. But the fact that she is so sort of overworked and likely not 100% mentally well, that she will sometimes just be in bed for a week because she's so exhausted
Mhm.
was very I don't know, there was something very scary about that to me
Mhm.
for her mental wellness and, like, her being and the workload that she there's also the moment where they walk past, like, this little bus that they have that seats 15, and the reporter was like, "Oh, do you plan on filling this up?" And they have 8 kids already, and he was like, "Yeah, probably someday." And she was like, "Well, we'll see. We're getting a little old and tired." And
Mhm.
just them being on the same thing about that, and then how they plan to have kids in the future, he's like she says like, "Oh, I just, I always know when I'm ready to have a child." And he's like, "But it's always 9 months after." And she's like,
Mhm.
"Well, we pray for it." And he's like, "But it's always 9 months after." I thought
Yeah.
it was so weird.
Yeah, I mean, also I find it very odd just how he very clearly aggressively pursued her. You know, she had gone to summer school at Juilliard when she was 14, and she was going and sort of competing in scholarship pageants because she wanted to become a ballerina, a professional ballerina, and had wanted to go and, live out her dream in New York. He had pursued her for around 6 months, and he said that he saw her and he was like, "Oh yeah, like this is the woman I'm going to marry." And she was like not really that into it. And she had mentioned to him that she was getting a flight from Salt Lake City to New York or something. And he had engineered it so that he was sat next to her on the flight, because her dad owned the airline.
Yeah, JetBlue, right?
Mhm.
I His dad owns a bunch of airlines. Like that's I mean, that's one of the many things is like there's so much money in this or whatever, but there was a do you think that I wish you could hear her tone a little bit more
Mhm.
when she talks about some of this stuff because I don't know. I wonder if she buys into it or if she knows. Like when she's telling an anecdote about something like the plane thing. She has to know that sounds weird, right?
Mhm.
Or is that sheltered at this point?
I don't know, she reads to me as a smart and ambitious woman.
They're Mormon.
Yeah.
So there's like some definitely some religious stuff there, right?
Yeah.
But
Yeah. Do you not
yeah,
think
I mean, he really pulled her out. She was the what do they call her in the article? The first pregnant student at Juilliard
Oh,
in
yeah.
deep history or something. It was like, the way they framed it was just like, basically, this hasn't happened since like the 1700s or
Yeah.
some shit. So it, I mean, yeah, for anyone who doesn't know how competitive Juilliard is, they only let 12 men and 12 women in their ballet program every year.
Mhm.
So, to be selected for this, like, you really have to be one of the top dancers in the world, and yeah, so you work really hard to get there, and they also say that the only thing in the house that she was supposed to have was
Mhm.
a little backyard, like, shed area that she was gonna turn into a ballerina room.
A
you
ballet
know,
studio.
the ballet studio, ballerina room.
I
Thank
like
you.
ballerina room. I think it's cute.
I literally was, like, trying to think, like, "Thank you, ballet studio." That is dementia. I honestly that makes me scared. But anyway, so yeah, like they turned it into the kids' schooling room or whatever. So
Mm.
she has nothing. And I saw someone on Twitter point this out, and I don't know if I'll be able to find the tweet, but it was something to the effect of like he took her away from the only like thing she cared about really and named the place where she has to live after it.
Mm.
'Cause she doesn't get to be a ballerina anymore.
Mhm.
Or is it once a ballerina, always a ballerina? I don't know.
There's this very telling little bit in this where she says, "Our first few years of marriage were really hard. We sacrificed a lot," she says. "But we did have this vision, this dream," and Daniel interrupts. "We still do." "What kind of sacrifices?" I ask her. "Well, I gave up dance, which was hard. You gave up a piece of yourself. You give up a piece of yourself, and Daniel gave up his career ambitions." I look out into the vastness and I don't totally agree. Daniel wanted to live in the great western wilds, so they did. He wanted to farm, so they do. He likes date nights once a week, so they go. They have a babysitter on those evenings. He doesn't want nannies in the house, so there aren't any. And then, yeah, the only space earmarked to be Neilman's own, a small barn she wanted to convert into a ballet studio, ended up becoming the schoolroom.
Yeah, it's not as long as a read as we might make it seem. This is a pretty quick read. I did it in like 15 minutes. I would just recommend anyone like go read this if you want. It goes pretty quickly and it's like very efficiently written.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, there's been a few things as a result of this article that have kind of got brought up again. One thing that was really popping off on TikTok, which is about how I found out about it, was like people typing like egg apron, like
Mm-hmm.
something about egg apron, egg apron. And so I went and looked it up, and there's this video of her on her birthday. She's opening up a birthday present that isn't even like really wrapped. It's like the Amazon box or
It's still
whatever,
in the box, yeah.
wrapped like with a loose cloth over it or something. And she's for her birthday, all she wanted was a trip to Greece, which should be practically free. It probably is free if your father owns several airlines. It's all she wanted was a trip to Greece. And he's like, open it up. Like, I don't know what it is. And she's sort of like making these like, haha, like hope it's a trip to Greece. But she's being very like there's no attitude or like there's nothing like that there, right? She's just saying it like it is. She really wants it to be a trip to Greece.
Mm-hmm.
And she like opens up the piece of cloth that's in the box after like he didn't even do the tape. She opens it up and it is a little apron with like 24 little pockets on it. And it's her egg apron. And the way she even says egg apron, she's like, "Oh, it's my egg apron." Like that sounds like she picked it out with him or like this isn't even that much of a surprise.
Mm-hmm.
How much is a fucking egg apron? I'm going to look that up. But like this is I mean, yeah.
I know. I know. Do you know the thing that I found bone chilling is that she's sort of processing the egg apron and he goes, "You're welcome."
I can't.
He does like because she didn't say, "Wow, honey, this is amazing. Now I can have 24 eggs instead of." Listen, there's something also a little like not to go back to the Elon of it all, but there's something in the ether that makes me deeply uncomfortable. And it's the resurgence of trad wives, the fact that Elon wants to have lots of little Caucasian babies and encouraging sort of people to have babies and increase the birth rate in this very sort of like traditional family style. And this sort of Marie Antoinette style, like living off the land, like almost poverty tourism that the ultra wealthy seem to be doing,
Yeah.
like the good life. And it's really sinister to me. Like it's really, really odd to me in a way. Like There's nothing more Marie Antoinette about this. I mean, she quite literally used to have a fake garden that she went around collecting her eggs in and was like, oh, how simple it must be to be poor, and this is all you have
Wouldn't
to
it be
worry about.
yeah.
Yeah. And this is just that, like on steroids, honestly.
Well, I
It,
think it is for him.
it is for him. He's like living, he's like cosplaying as like a frontiersman.
BTW, like he still is invested in a bunch of companies. I was reading that today, like 3 big companies in Brazil. But like I would guess that she brings in a really significant amount of their income, just like their actual
Day-to-day living expense stuff.
yeah, because
Hmm.
she makes really good money as an influencer on her level, and she has a store. I was actually looking it up to see if I could find the egg apron for sale. She's sold shells a version of an egg apron now, but it's not like that one.
I found a 12 pocket one on Etsy for £23 and 35 pence, which I would say is going to be what, like $30.
I mean, I was kind of thinking like it had to maybe be some sort of spawn con or something, but then I was like, no, there's no way
Mhm.
that it's a random box from Ukraine.
Mhm.
So
So it's like it looks like a nice Etsy gift, like one that would be cute in a stocking. Maybe at Christmas, if this is the life that you're into, and like a new butter churner. But also gifts that are like functional for the household, I don't think really count as gifts on birthdays.
I don't think that's an unpopular opinion. I think there's a lot of people who are like, I need something that's going to make my life better. And one of the ways that that's going to be is something more of, I'm a very like, I really like an effective gift. Like, and I like to give effective gifts where it's like, here, this is going to make your life easier. That
Mhm.
said, so some people really like maybe getting an expensive vacuum or something for Christmas. I'm going to allow for that,
If
of
you ask
course.
for it, of course. I mean, Billy just like craned his neck and turned to look at me because I got him a bin for his birthday. I actually didn't get him a bin for his birthday. He wanted a new bin for the household. I purchased it for him. He got to unwrap it. He loves that bin. He's literally always playing with it.
It's his jam.
It's his favorite toy. He loves that bin. I got- you should have seen him on Christmas morning, just opening it up, clicking it back, pressing it in different places to see if it would pop up. It's
Is he a little pen clicker? I can't handle that.
no, he's not. He's definitely not a pen clicker. He's a pencil boy.
That's something it's like Captain Hook's,
Oh,
like,
TikTok.
chicken clock that for me, there's
Oh.
something about it that it makes my bones chill. Stop, you're freaking me out. Like, there's some or, like, when you're having a conversation with someone and you start to, like, anticipate, and it's like, I cannot pay attention with that in front of me, and I think it's the ADHD, but
Uh-huh.
I can't do both. I can't. So oof, it's too much. That actually made my heart skip a
Sorry about
beat,
that.
but
Sorry about
no,
that.
you're fine. But yeah, it's sad. She wrote some blog entries. I don't know if we want to read any of this, but there's some blog entries that she wrote before she really got to this stage in all of this. One of them is like quite sad where she talks about how her husband wakes up every day and leaves at 7:30 and comes back at 10 p.m., but she doesn't have a car.
Oh.
So she's at home with the baby all day
Oh.
and she can't go anywhere. And sometimes when gets depressed, usually around Wednesday, because I haven't left the house in a few days and I never see my husband, I just listen to Henry and try to really live in these little moments when it's just he and I in the house. We don't have too many days left till baby brother comes to greet us. So we're ready. So we're really packing in the QT time. Not knowing the language makes things a bit more complicated as well. This is when they were living in Brazil. Henry and I look at each other. Uh, she loves her baby. Whatever.
Can I
Sorry.
well
Sorry. I didn't mean to be dismissive of that, but my point in saying this is he has her pregnant with a baby in a foreign country without a car. for, I don't know, most of the hours in a day.
Yikes.
Like, he's lucky she's not crazy.
Yeah. I would be so down to be a trad wife if they like overprescribed medication like they did in the 50s, because then I wouldn't care.
Honestly, I mean, like, it would be a bad existence, but, like, I do think that if I was just, like, pilled out,
Oh,
like,
yeah.
doing laundry.
Laundry on lewds? My God. Can you
Yeah,
imagine?
like, writing a little budget from the newspaper, shopping, and, like, going that would be beyond if I was just, like, on a Xan or something, or maybe,
Mhm.
like, a stray Vicodin or something. Absolutely.
Yeah, it
And
would
then
be
you drink
bearable.
on top of that, and you're
Oh,
really
yeah.
living the life.
You gotta have a cocktail at
Yeah.
5. You gotta have a cocktail. There's a Trevor Noah quote that somebody linked to in the Reddit thread that the old blog posts are on, which sums this up nicely, which says, "The way my mother always explained it, the traditional man wants a woman to be subservient, but he never falls in love with subservient women. He's attracted to independent women. He's like an exotic bird collector. He only wants a woman who is free because his dream is to put her in a cage."
Sick fuck.
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
Because why not just find a nice trad, a nice trad girl without any hopes and dreams, and give her the life she's always wanted. But then
Maybe someday I'll be a nice trad girl. Do you think 40 is too old to become do you think that there's still a farmer that wants me?
yeah, but he's like a cool farmer. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Oh my god, that'd be so crazy. Well, I'm in a relationship, I actually couldn't do that. Sorry.
Yeah, yeah.
I literally forgot. I was like, "What if I join Farmers Only?" Sorry, I really got caught up there for a minute.